Imagine someone taking a traditional leather-bound Bible, calling it literal garbage, setting it on fire, and then, I don't know, handing you a smartphone and telling you that this glowing screen is the only true path to salvation.
You'd probably be pretty taken aback by that.
Right. I mean, you would be. We have this built-in assumption that profound spiritual authority is something ancient, like words carved into stone tablets on a mountain or fragile scrolls kept under glass.
Exactly. Something static and very, very old.
Yeah. But today we are unpacking the highly unconventional claims of a digital age figure who basically wants to take a hammer to that glass case. Welcome to today's deep dive, where we are exploring the life, the claims, and the really radical teachings of a modern faith healer named Narciso Olalo.
And according to the really fascinating stack of texts we're examining today for this deep dive, Olalo doesn't just present himself as a standard spiritual guide. He actually claims to be the, quote, #1 instrument chosen by God.
Which is a massive claim, and we've got a really compelling set of sources lined up for you today to explore that. We're looking at excerpts from his official websites, his social media channels, and this deeply symbolic, highly detailed account of a prophetic vision that he shared back in September of 2015.
But before we jump into the deep end of these texts, we really need to establish some ground rules for you, the listener. Our mission today is absolutely not to validate or endorse these religious claims.
No, not at all. And we aren't here to take sides against any traditional faiths or religious institutions either. We are strictly here as your guides to objectively unpack the narratives, the ideas, and the rather striking imagery contained within these specific source materials.
Right, we're just looking at what is being claimed in the text and how that message is being constructed to appeal to a modern audience.
Because the way this narrative is constructed is genuinely disruptive. So, okay, let's unpack this. Because what makes Olalo's movement stand out so sharply isn't just the fact that he claims to perform miracles, right?
Yeah, I mean, countless people throughout history have claimed to perform miracles. That's not new.
Exactly. What makes this text so compelling is his uncompromising stance against the monetization of faith. But before we can really understand his critique of mainstream religion, we need to establish his baseline, like what exactly is the source of his claimed authority?
Well, the sources outline a very specific set of spiritual abilities that completely bypass traditional religious hierarchy.
Yeah.
At his core, Olalo claims to be a faith healer.
Right.
But his methodology is totally unique. The text states he can heal the sick through his voice alone.
Which is just an incredible claim when you think about the logistics of it. I mean, he doesn't require physical touch. He doesn't use like a specific ritual object or holy water. It's literally just the frequency of his voice.
Yeah, it's entirely non-physical.
Yeah.
And it actually doesn't stop at physical healing either. The documents claim he has the ability to predict future events and even massive tragedies beforehand.
But the claim that really made me pause when I was reviewing our sources was his ability to identify sins. That one really stood out.
Oh, yes. The texts use a very distinct term for this mechanism. They call it the power of mind.
Power of mind.
Right. And according to the source, this is a divine gift that goes far beyond basic human intuition or even, extreme empathy. The text claims that with this power of mind, Olalo can see and describe a person's entire life story simply by talking to them.
And the scope of this goes way beyond the living, right?
It does.
Because the source explicitly says that as a, quote, spirit, he has the ability to see the sins of people who have passed away, like even people who died centuries ago.
Correct. The text basically positions him outside the bounds of time.
Mm.
Physical death is not a barrier to this power of mind. The entire spiritual ledger of humanity is completely visible to him.
Wow. It's like a spiritual search engine. But let's think about the power dynamic that creates. I mean, if he alone holds the unfiltered search history of everyone you've ever known, even the dead, there's no way to fact check him.
Exactly. You can't exactly ask your deceased grandfather to verify if Olalo's reading of his sins is accurate.
Right. So it creates this completely closed loop where Olalo's authority is absolute and unquestionable.
That's a crucial observation. It is a sweeping claim of absolute spiritual jurisdiction.
Yeah.
He isn't claiming to just interpret God's will. He is claiming direct, unmediated access to divine knowledge.
And whenever I see a claim of authority that massive, my immediate reaction is to look for the hidden fee. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. the catch.
Right. Because if someone claims they hold the exclusive keys to your physical health, your future, and your spiritual standing, movements like this usually come with a really heavy price tag. There's a mandatory donation, a tithe, or you have to buy a series of expensive books. So what's the catch here?
Well, this brings us to what is probably the most surprising operational rule of Olalo's entire practice. According to the texts, his service is strictly and unconditionally free.
Wait, totally free. Like there's no VIP tier, no suggested donation cleverly hidden at the end of a live stream.
Not according to the texts. No. The source provides what is presented as a direct, divine command from God to Olalo. It reads, quote, "No money should be collected, without charge even a single cent. It should be absolutely free."
Without charge, even a single cent. Wow. That leaves zero wiggle room for like an administrative fee or a subtle cash grab.
None at all.
But let's dig into the psychology of that for a second. If he's not taking money, how does the transaction work? Because let's be real, there's always a transaction.
There is. And what's fascinating here is that while the service is financially free, the texts outline a very different kind of required currency.
Okay, so what is it?
The actual currency required for this healing to work is faith. But it's a very specific, highly targeted equation of faith. The source states that the healing power only works if the person believes in Jesus Christ, and crucially, specifically believes in Olalo as the chosen instrument of that healing.
Ah, okay, so the transaction isn't monetary, it's ideological. And honestly, I'd argue that surrendering your entire ideological worldview is a much heavier psychological price tag than just tossing a $20 bill into a collection plate. By removing money, he completely removes the consumer mindset.
That's a great point.
You can't just pay a tithe and walk away feeling absolved, you know? You have to buy into his framework completely.
Yes, it demands absolute loyalty rather than just casual financial support. And the way this framework is being distributed perfectly matches this disembodied non-financial model. I mean, he isn't out there building massive, expensive brick-and-mortar cathedrals to reach people.
Right, he's broadcasting. The sources list his platforms: YouTube, Facebook Live, Blogger, Instagram. He is taking this not a single cent mandate and pushing it through every free digital channel available to him.
And if we look at the sociological impact of that strategy, offering free spiritual guidance, especially physical healing and life advice, it builds an immense amount of community trust.
Because the obvious ulterior motive is off the table. When people see someone asking for nothing, they instantly lower their defenses.
Precisely. It provides an enormous sense of hope for people who might be marginalized or just unable to afford traditional medical care. But more importantly, it positions Olalo as a pure, untainted alternative to massive religious institutions that routinely require tithes, offerings, or financial donations from their congregations just to keep the lights on.
Right, it sets up a brilliant contrast. He's essentially saying, look at these ancient institutions demanding your hard-earned money just to access God. Now look at me, offering you direct access completely free on Facebook Live.
It's a very powerful dichotomy.
It is, which perfectly sets up the most explosive part of our sources today, because this strict anti-profit stance isn't just a personal business model for Olalo. It's actually the foundation for a highly aggressive, symbolic attack on mainstream religious institutions.
Yeah, the texts reveal that he views those institutions as doing the exact opposite of his divine mandate. He views them as corrupt precisely because they engage in commerce.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's look at the document detailing Olalo's vision from September 8, 2015. This is a vivid, surreal dream sequence that he shared with his followers.
It's very cinematic.
It really is. In the vision, Olalo finds himself standing in front of a massive pile of papers. And he hears the voice of God, and the voice calls this pile of papers garbage and explicitly commands Olalo to burn them.
And we shouldn't make you wait to understand what that means, because Olalo provides his own explicit interpretation right there in the text.
Right, he doesn't leave it vague.
No, he doesn't. He claims those burning papers represent traditional Bibles and religious pamphlets.
Hold on, let's pause there for a second. He's claiming to be the ultimate instrument of God, but his first move in this vision is to call the cornerstone of the Christian faith literal garbage and set it on fire.
Yes. That is his claim.
Isn't that a terrible strategy for building a following? Like, why take such an aggressive, alienating stance right out of the gate?
It seems totally counterintuitive, right? But sociologically, it's actually a very effective tactic for disruptive movements. The text explains Olalo's assertion that traditional Bibles are actually man-made.
Man-made.
Yeah. He claims they are filled with lies crafted by people, specifically calling out priests and pastors who use the name and words of God purely for their own personal interest and financial profit.
Ah, so by burning the Bible, he isn't attacking God, he's attacking the monopoly.
Exactly.
He's saying the text itself has been weaponized by greedy middlemen.
Yes. Because these texts were allegedly created to generate profit, he argues they have lost their divine truth. And that leads directly into the next phase of his vision.
Right, because as he's burning this garbage, a man approaches and stops him. The man says, don't burn those, we're going to sell them. So they put the fire out. And this man takes these half-burned papers and packs them into large black plastic garbage bags.
Notice how the introduction of commerce immediately stops the divine cleansing process.
Oh, yeah, good catch.
And in Olalo's interpretation, those black plastic bags represent the sin of believing in these lies. If you believe in these corrupted for-profit Bibles, you are carrying around the heavy, dark weight of that sin.
And the dream makes that weight very literal. They load these heavy black bags onto a cart, and the dream shifts into this grueling, frustrating journey. The man is pushing Olalo to help him find buyers.
It's a real struggle in the narrative.
It is. They push this incredibly heavy cart from place to place. They get misdirected. They wander through restricted areas, and people just keep rejecting the bag, saying, we don't buy that anymore.
Which is a really powerful metaphor for his view of humanity.
Hmm.
The wandering cart represents society, weighed down by the sin of believing in a monetized religion.
Mm.
They are hopelessly lost without true salvation because they are relying on corrupted texts.
Yeah.
They keep trying to find spiritual value in it, trying to sell the bags, essentially.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it gets them absolutely nowhere.
It sounds exhausting. I mean, in the dream, they are completely adrift. Olalo even tries to take a train to get back home at one point, but the ticket seller says the train doesn't leave for hours. They are just stuck with this heavy burden.
Until finally, divine intervention occurs.
Right. Olalo prays for guidance, and instantly Jesus Christ appears to guide them. But Jesus isn't empty-handed. The text specifically notes that he is holding a long wooden stick that is the color of gold.
And this is where Olalo places himself firmly into the center of the theology. He decodes the golden stick as representing himself.
He's the stick.
He is. He is the golden instrument in the hands of the divine, fearlessly revealing the truth at his own expense, without asking for a single cent in return.
So Jesus praises Olalo, telling the lost man that Olalo has a golden heart that will save him. Then Jesus vanishes. And then Olalo does something very specific. He folds a small piece of paper, hands it to the lost man, and says, read this, and this will save you.
Which brings us to the climax of the vision and its interpretation.
So, what does this all mean? If he just spent the entire dream burning traditional paper Bibles because they are corrupted garbage, he must be introducing a new holy book, right? Like a newly discovered scroll, or his own written manifesto.
That is the twist that makes this movement so remarkably modern. He doesn't introduce a book at all.
He doesn't.
No. Olalo explicitly states in his interpretation that the small folded paper represents his computer.
Wait, his computer?
Yes. It represents his computer and his online platforms. His digital presence is what he uses to deliver the true, uncorrupted message of salvation so people can read it.
That is absolutely wild. Let me make sure I'm fully wrapping my head around the mechanism here. It's like, imagine you are a weary traveler and you've been using this ancient, universally accepted paper map to try and get home. Everyone uses this map. Entire cities were built around this map.
Right.
But then Olalo pulls you aside and says, that map is a forgery. It was drawn by greedy toll booth operators who just want to keep you driving in circles so they can collect your fees forever.
A very apt comparison.
And then he takes that ancient map, throws it in an incinerator, and hands you a brand new, completely free digital GPS on a smartphone. And he says, here, this glowing screen is the actual way home, and it will never cost you a cent.
That is an excellent analogy because it really highlights the paradigm shift happening in this text. If we connect this to the bigger picture, Olalo is framing his entire movement not just as a new branch of faith or like a minor theological update.
Yeah.
He is framing it as an absolutely necessary, urgent correction to a corrupted, profit-driven religious establishment.
He's not saying read your Bible and also listen to my live streams. He's saying the physical book is irrevocably corrupted by institutional greed. My digital feed is a pure, unfiltered truth.
Precisely. And because his platform is digital, it allows him to strip away all the complex physical rituals that usually accompany religion.
That makes sense.
The sources state that according to Olalo, God has three true desires for humanity. That's it. Not elaborate ceremonies, not financial offerings, not building funds. Just three things: to repent for all sins committed, to renew your Christian life, and to have great faith in Him.
Repent, renew, and have great faith. It's a massive distillation of the message, and it makes perfect sense why that would resonate today. In a fast-paced, algorithmic, digital age, people are overwhelmed.
You really are.
They don't want a labyrinth of theology. They want direct, bullet-point access. By stripping away the physical institution and the physical text, he makes the barrier to entry incredibly low.
But as we discussed earlier, while the financial barrier is low, the ideological demand is total. You are swapping reliance on a centuries-old institution for reliance on a single man with a glowing screen and a claimed power of mind.
Which really brings us back to the sheer scale of the shift we've unpacked today. We started by looking at a modern figure who claims the ability to heal people through social media streams and who claims a spiritual search engine that can read the sins of people who have been dead for centuries.
And we ended up unraveling a highly sophisticated narrative that completely bypasses the ancient religious texts we've relied on for millennia, replacing them with direct, free, digital revelation.
It is a profound shift in how spiritual authority is claimed, verified, and distributed. We are moving from the cathedral to the comment section, and it leaves us with something really fascinating to think about as we wrap up this deep dive.
It certainly does. This raises an important question regarding his interpretation of the small folded pager in that 2015 vision.
Yeah, the computer.
Right. The source text explicitly equates Olalo's computer, a piece of modern mass-produced technology, with the literal instrument of salvation. It forces us to ponder the evolution of faith itself. Well, as we move further and further into a hyper-digital age, will new spiritual movements increasingly view the internet not just as a handy tool for communication or marketing, but as the actual ordained vessel for divine truth?
Wow. Will that ancient scroll we talked about at the very beginning, the one locked safely inside the museum's glass case, will it eventually just be completely replaced in the human psyche by the device sitting in your pocket right now? It's definitely something to think about the next time you scroll through your feed and wonder who or what is really guiding you. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the structures around you, keep exploring the fascinating narratives that shape our world, and we'll catch you next time.